I want to know what our podcast is called in Welsh.
Believe.
Yeah. It'd be a bit like, say it in Welsh, Believe the Conspiracy Theory podcast, but in Welsh.
Credu, a podcast amdan theoriau. Oh, I don't know what conspiracy is. Conspiracy, but with like an I at the end. I think so. Yeah.
Hello! Welcome to Believe the Conspiracy Theory podcast. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest conspiracy theories, isn't it?
Well, yes, or it's the truth revealed for the masses.
In each episode, we bring on a fellow comedian, and that comedian has picked a conspiracy theory they want to talk about. It might be a conspiracy theory they believe, it might be a conspiracy theory they don't believe, or it might just be a conspiracy theory that has confused the fuck out of them for years, and they need someone to tell them the truth, don't they?
And we are those heroes that will show them the truth.
That's right. We uncover the facts and the fiction, and we try to work out whether we can prove it, debunk it, or neither, because we never achieve that, do we?
Yeah, we're just comedians.
We're just comedians. Now, we have social media channels.
Oh my gosh, yes, we do. We have social media channels. Our handle is Believe Conspiracy Pod.
Yes, it is. and which channels are we on?
I don't know why
You looked at me like, are you waiting for something?
I know,
there?
no,
And I was
my
like,
brain froze.
Yeah.
And we are on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yeah, that's right. And we would like to know what you think of the content we're putting up. We post videos, we post exclusive stuff related to the episodes, and we also let you know when the new episodes drop. So please do follow us on those channels. And also, if you want to get in contact with us and tell us which conspiracy theories you would like us to cover on this very podcast, how can they get in contact with us?
Well, you know what? We've got an email.
How exciting.
It's believeconspiracypod@gmail.com.
Email us. Tell us what you want us to cover. We will put it on our list and we will find someone that wants to talk about it. We will drag them in and we will uncover the truth for your very own ears. Now, if you do enjoy this podcast, please give a little 5-star review on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. It helps us to build the podcast and we really would love your support. We're very happy with how it's going, but we just need a few more people giving it a little lift. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know, tell your hamster. That'd be great.
Oh my gosh, yeah, tell your hamster.
Mm-hmm. We should give a big shout out to our tech.
Oh my gosh, we should. We couldn't do it without him. The fantastic, the hirsute, George.
What does that even mean?
Oh, hirsute means hairy.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, hirsute. Esau in the Bible was hirsute.
Do you know what? Now I realise that your show's called that. Now it all makes a connection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trivial Hirsute is the name of my show that I'm working on, but that's where,
Anyway, if you want to see us live, by the way, and also you want to see us do the podcast live, there are links in the show notes of any of our episodes. Go in there, click on those. You'll be able to book tickets to see our solo shows, and you will be able to book tickets to see our live podcast shows as well. And we would love to see you there. We get fantastic audiences coming along. It's a lot of fun. It's a great evening, and you can meet us, which really is going to be the highlight of your year.
I have no friends.
Yeah. Now, who is today's fantastic guest?
I love our guest today. It is a wonderful Welshman, Carwyn Blayney.
Carwyn Blayney. We are trying to get as many Welsh and Irish people on this podcast as we possibly can this year. We're going for a record. Carwyn is a fantastic actor, writer, and stand-up comedian. He's originally from Wales, but he lives in London now. He's been in major comedy award finals. He's supported people like Ellis James on tour. He's written for Radio 4, and he's currently starring in RSVP, which is a Welsh language sitcom available on iPlayer. He also has a Duke of Edinburgh Bronze Award.
Oh my gosh.
That is the caliber of guest we're attracting now.
God tier.
Absolutely. And what is the conspiracy that Carwyn has chosen?
Carwyn is going to be talking about the Welsh Triangle.
The Welsh Triangle. Ooh. Let's bring on Carwyn.
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
It's an urban legend.
Like, if they're actually spraying something in the sky?
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Welcome to the podcast, Carwyn Blayney!
Do we clap?
Yes, we clap. Let's
Yes,
clap.
of course we clap.
Yes.
I started that
First
clap.
time we've clapped
Everybody
someone
listening,
in.
I started that myself.
You did.
Beautiful. Well, sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you gotta.
You got to root for yourself, don't
Absolutely.
you? I am my biggest fan.
That's good. That's good.
It is
That is a
important.
good
I got
thing,
it
yeah.
tattooed on my back.
You've got to be. You've got to be in this game.
You got to.
Yeah.
I'm the only one.
Absolutely not. You're on Welsh language TV, as we have previously discussed.
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
What are you doing on Welsh language TV?
I'm currently in a sitcom pilot.
We covered it in the intro that we've definitely recorded before this episode, remember?
Yes.
Magic.
Magic.
We want to know about your sitcom pilot.
Well, yeah, it was a friend of mine, Carol Burke. She's an amazing stand-up. She wrote this really nice script, and it fits so nice. It's 12 minutes long, and it fits really neatly in. It's a really nice premise. It's really funny, nice characters, and it could definitely work as a series. So we're waiting to get confirmation on that. Hopefully, it'll be made into a series. But yeah, if you watch it on iPlayer,
Yes.
make them views go up.
Yeah.
And share it and say that it's amazing. It's been such a joy hearing so many people, my friends in London, non-Welsh speakers, watching it and then quoting little bits out of it and stuff like that and saying that they watched it with subtitles is really nice.
Well, I'm going to, because my dad's a fluent Welsh speaker, so I'm definitely going to get him to watch it and some of my cousins as well. So, but it would have to be subtitles for me because they tried to teach me when I was young because my nan and my dad both lived in my house growing up and they were both fluent Welsh speakers. But because I grew up in England, no, they tried to teach me Welsh and I was like, well, what's the point in that? And
in England did you grow up then?
I grew up in Surrey, but
it's very England, isn't it?
Yes, very England, like
so English.
Very English, yeah. But with Welsh speakers in the house who were like, you should learn a different language. And
what was it like when rugby matches came on then?
Oh, very much like you support, because I got taken to see Wales from a very young age at the Old Arms Park, so I've never not supported anyone other than Wales.
Just hearing you say the Old Arms Park,
yeah,
I can hear the anthem now.
It's beautiful.
We're going to just stand up and start singing.
I miss it. We'll go
sometime.
Well, it's kind of still there, isn't it? But not.
It is. yeah. It's looking good actually.
Yeah.
I love the Welsh language.
Beautiful language.
Your political sort of, I need to join in here somewhere. I love it. I love all languages.
In mythology, like Merlin was probably Welsh and it was probably a title.
I'm from his town.
See,
really? Caerfyrddin, the fort.
Oh, say that again.
Caerfyrddin, Carmarthen.
Yeah.
The fort of Merlin.
Yes.
Merlin the wizard.
Oh, it's so
and that's not the only magic from the area. Carmarthen is also where ball bearings were invented. So there you go.
That's a beauty of a fact.
Oh,
it is, isn't it?
What a place.
What a place.
we love Wales.
You're going to love this. This isn't even anything to do with what we're going to talk about today, but there was a tree in Carmarthen. Yeah. I'm already going into that sort of storytelling.
Yeah.
Old Welsh tales.
Oh, that's what we're here for.
There was a tree, and I think the significance of the tree was that's where Merlin the magician used to play. I think he used to play around on the tree and stuff like that, and it was looked after. It was right in the middle of the town, an awkward place. It was like on a roundabout or something like that. And gradually, it wasn't well looked after or anything. And in the 70s, I think it is. I'll have to double check that. They got rid of the tree, whatever like that, and it was said that getting rid of the tree would bring bad luck. That year, they had the biggest floods in Carmarthen that has ever been.
That is no coincidence.
No coincidence. There's a lot of that story that I might have gotten wrong, but the essence of it is right.
Trust me, on this podcast, that is truth as far as we're concerned. Well, someone said it, it's true.
Look, I grew up in Ireland, and you didn't mess with the old folk. The ancient folk, because things would go wrong. Like you didn't plow certain fields. I can remember that there were fields left alone. Oh, that's not my field.
Are you superstitious when it comes to like comedy and stuff?
I used to be. I'm less so now.
Yeah, and you try and trick yourself into thinking that you're not superstitious, but then you find yourself listening to the same song before you go on stage and things like that, and you go, "Oh, that's a bit."
Is that not just the autism coming out?
Oh, definitely part. Yeah.
No, but I have certain. I know when a gig's going to be good or bad before I arrive. There's certain things like, oh, that happened, or I'm not going to say anything. But then if you tell yourself, because that's manifesting, if you tell yourself it's going to be good, it's going to be good. If you tell yourself it's going to be a bad gig, it probably is going to be a bad gig because of the mindset you've gone in with, right? But if I see stuff that's going to suggest that it's a bad gig, oh my God, I sounded seeing. I pray against it and it's fine. It's the truth. It's the truth. So.
Are you religious otherwí, or do you just pray when it comes to your own career? Well, it is?
Look, I need all the help I can get. Do you know what I mean? I've overcome many things, and I keep bringing them up these last couple of broadcasts. I've been homeless. I nearly died. I'm gay. It's all these terrible things that happen to me.
What?
I know, right? All right. And
bombshell.
Yes. And bombshells. Like I grew up in Northern.
Yeah.
I had the troubles.
Oh my God! What a traumatic stuff.
You can do political as well.
This is just,
I just got to keep going. So I don't believe in God, and yet I pray. So I am a hypocrite. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of that. Yeah. There's a lot of like people will do things before they go on stage, and then they'll convince themselves that they're not superstitious. But then again, they do the same routine and stuff like that.
What about what you wear? Because I'm the thing that I'm, if anything, slightly superstitious about is if I wear something on stage and I have a bad gig and I've only worn that once,
I'll never wear it again. Never to wear it again. I have a pair of shoes I bought especially for a gig, and I had one of the worst gigs of my life, and I've never worn those.
It's got to be the shoes.
I see those shoes every time.
I am quite glad that a pair of pants that I have finally started behaving.
Right.
I wore they're a pair of Welsh rugby pants.
Right.
The Welsh rugby logo on it and stuff like that. And I wore it for a match that Wales were playing.
Yeah.
And we won. And then I was like, well, I've got to wear them for the next game.
Yeah.
And they won again. And it kept going on to a point where I had to like time my washes and stuff, to make sure that the pants were ready for the game. And then eventually that chain broke, and now I'm free.
Okay.
And Wales are losing a lot.
Yeah, they're losing terribly.
They're losing a lot at the moment.
You're free, but at what price?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, now that I say it out loud, it seems like I am the reason that Wales... I need to get them pants again. I'm going back to Oxfam. Picking them up.
I am rethinking this booking because the last 2 years have been painful watching Welsh rugby.
It is. It's been hard. But holding on to the hope that they're building towards something good. That's what you got to do, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. You've got to.
Sports.
The thing is, I spent the first 25 years of my life never seeing them win consistently, and then suddenly they had this renaissance.
Yes.
And now we seem to be back in that place now.
Yeah. Well, we had a golden era of players, didn't we?
Did.
We've really turned this into a good sports podcast.
But you get that thing in Wales where old people in Wales, like my parents' generation, will tell you how amazing things were in the 70s. And,
yes.
And it's this.
And I've started doing that with the players that I've grown.
Yes.
So I'm 31.
Uh-huh.
So I should be now like retiring ideas of playing for Wales and stuff. I'm sort of at the end of my rugby career. Past my prime.
Yeah.
Maybe in my prime. Start of the 30s, I reckon,
Yeah.
when the player's really, really, really good at the top of their powers. So that's a positive way to look at it. But yeah, it is weird now, the players that you're looking at, they're so much younger than you. And I'm already missing the players that have retired that I grew up with and stuff like that. Yeah, so I've started turning into that generation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you can ever, because the players you grow up with, I think you always see them as gods, don't you? You always see them as heroes. And I find it difficult to see young players in the same way. Respect for them, loved watching them, but they're not your heroes because they're not the people that brought you that joy when you were a kid.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
That's what I feel about Charlie XCX. I mean, she's great, but she's just not my goddess. You know what I mean?
It'll always be Madonna for you.
Oh my God. She's having a renaissance. Like a prayer. It's everywhere. I am loving it. Oh.
Love that parallel. Conspiracy theories.
Yes.
Now, you're from an area of the country which we will go into where this is, conspiracy, mystery and folklore and that sort of thing is kind of prevalent, as you already mentioned, Merlin. But how do you feel when you hear conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists?
I mean, I don't believe them, but I still love them, particularly when it comes to things like sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like that, anything to do with like spotting an alien, UFOs, whatever, things like that. The more you read into it, the more... I think I enjoy getting scared a little bit. And it's because you kind of know that it's not.
Yeah.
That's a complicated answer.
Has that always...
I think I dragged out no there in a really clever way.
I think it's nonsense, but I love it.
But I love an opinion.
Yeah.
Oh my God, an opinion? God. And if someone's got a strong opinion, I let them twist my arm until it's like fussily.
Growing up where you grew up, were you surrounded by people who did believe in sort of the folklores of the area and those sort of things?
I don't know if I remember. People would speak of older generations.
Yeah.
And people having like seen fairies and things.
Yeah,
We've got a version of leprechauns in Wales called the Tylwyth Teg. Not a version of leprechauns. It's just like our fairies, Tylwyth Teg, and you got loads of stories in the area that I grew up. And people do believe them. Especially like people saying that they got trapped into like circles of dancing fairies and then time went on and stuff like that and they came back years later and things like that. There's a lot of that in the area I grew up in. And I love it. I love that. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it is, and also from a purely from a marketing perspective, it's people love those sort of tales, don't they?
Yeah.
I mean, you have it in Ireland as well.
Oh my
we
gosh,
talked
yeah.
about quite a lot of what's the thing where the people came from underneath the earth near where you lived.
Oh no, that's the Green Children of Will
No,
Pitt.
not that one. There was another one. I can't remember what you said called it. But anyway, there was something about people emerging from underground.
Oh yeah, the Tuatha Dé Danann come up from in the earth.
Yeah.
The inner earth and everything. It all sort of ties in. You're going.
Yeah, I like
the
the
same
way,
story told different ways.
Yeah.
I like the way the stories have come from like the land.
Yep.
The land is all inspired, like it's beautiful, rugged, dangerous terrain as well, like in Wales and West Wales and the mountains and everything like that. And you can see where these stories have come from.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to like UFOs and stuff, I think it's like an extension of that in a way. It's, we're inspired by what's around us, and yeah.
And it's fun, isn't it?
It's so fun. And everyone likes a story.
Everyone likes a story, absolutely. So the Welsh Triangle. Now we have actually briefly kind of mentioned this because I know quite a lot about this. So we have briefly kind of mentioned this in some episodes before, but actually I hadn't gone into the detail of this, and it is fascinating, especially watching some of the old news footage of this. So the Welsh Triangle, also known as is it dyfed Triangle? Is that
Dyfed, yeah.
Dyfed,
Dyfed's an old name for the 3 counties where this sort of takes place in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's an area in West Wales primarily centred around the towns of Haverfordwest, Milton Haven and St Bride's Bay. This region gained fame in the late 1970s and early 1980s due to a series of unexplained phenomena, including UFO sightings, poltergeist activity and mysterious encounters that intrigued both the public and the scientific community. The Welsh Triangle remains a significant point of interest for those fascinated by the paranormal, illustrating the enduring human fascination with the unknown. So where you grew up, how close to you was this?
Quite far in terms of driving, because the roads are poor.
They are really poor.
We've got no motorways. No. Not in that part of the world.
Yeah.
Not massively far at all. An hour and a half in the car.
Okay.
Depending on traffic, I'd say.
And did you grow up knowing these stories, or did you become
I feel like I've always known a bit about this,
Yeah.
the Welsh Triangle, and particularly about the school. Vaguely. And then every time I look into it, I remember it, and I think back to little bits of information you hear when you're growing up and stuff.
Yeah. And is it still talked about quite a lot in Wales?
I don't know really. I don't know. I mean, I wish I would have asked around a few more people before coming on the podcast, see if they remember much about it.
Because there's loads of books about it, and I also one of the articles that we found was actually from 3 years ago, and it was reminiscing from 25 years ago. So clearly it's a story that sort of keeps coming back every now and again, and hasn't really got a clear answer, which I think is the most fascinating thing about it.
Yeah, I remember in 2017 the BBC did a lot of articles looking back at it, because that was 40 years since it was. So we'll get it again in 2027.
Yeah, great.
Get it.
Renaissance.
50th, yeah, boy.
So historical context. The Welsh Triangle phenomenon first came to prominence in 1977 when local residents reported a surge in strange occurrences. These included sightings of unidentified flying objects, mysterious lights in the sky, and unusual behaviour by animals. The events were so frequent and puzzling that they attracted the attention of the media, researchers, and even the British government. The Ministry of Defence conducted investigations, albeit discreetly, to understand the nature of these occurrences. So one of the most famous occurrences was that of the Broadhaven School UFO sighting in February 1977, which I think is the one you were talking about.
Yeah.
On the 4th of February 1977, a silver cigar-shaped craft was claimed to have landed in a field next to Broadhaven Primary School, with a group of 14 children claiming to have observed the craft and a silver creature. On the 17th of February 1977, the same craft was claimed to have been seen by teachers at the school and other witnesses. On the 19th of April 1977, the owner of the Haven Fort Hotel in Little Haven claims to have seen an upside-down saucer in a neighbouring field and 2 humanoid creatures.
Yes. Yeah, there's loads.
Yeah.
And it starts with the school.
Yeah, it does start with the school.
It all starts with the school, where, numerous kids saw something.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you read into it, but do you know about the thing that they were asked back into the school the week after and separately asked to draw what they saw?
Under exam conditions.
Yes.
Because they were like, this is kind of weird.
It's cool, isn't it?
And they made them all, and they all drew the same thing.
Yeah.
The differences being in artistic ability, not in what they created. And there was, I don't know if you're going to say this, but there was a sewage plant just within the view of the school. So one of the teachers went up to the sewage plant and said, look, you don't have to tell us the inside and outside of what you do here, but did you have a truck visit, drive near the school at this point? Because the kids saw something, and the resounding answer was no, we did not do that. Sure, it was on a slope and it was wet, and because where they saw was sort of where the kids saw the craft and the creatures. was kind of not impossible to get to, but it wasn't
quite hilly, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was Wales. Like it wasn't
Yeah, yeah.
easy to get to.
It's not flat.
Not flat. Not flat.
Not flat.
No.
Loads
Not
of
like
trees around
London.
there.
Not like London where everything's flat.
The kids that are interviewed, though, are amazing because
are.
they all describe it as cigar-shaped.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show how old these children are. Obviously, they're going to refer to it as a cigar shape. All of them say it's the shape of a cigar. And all of them have probably been smoking all their life.
Yeah. Has it done them any harm? Who knows?
Well, they look like they're in their 40s and they're young kids.
They could have died of natural causes the next day. They are that
the thing that's really great about this sighting is the kids have grown up and been interviewed since as adults.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we saw this. Like
the only thing that's changed is their height. They're the same, exactly the same face, the same receding hairline and everything.
But we were talking about this before the pod because, and we do suggest Google the news footage of this in 1977 because there's a BBC article on it and there's a video there because all the kids are about 11, I think, but they look 20.
But they talk so clearly
They
and
do.
well.
Yeah,
There's not
they
a
do.
single in
No,
sight.
no, not at all.
I'm really jealous of people that can just do a whole conversation without saying
the thing about and those vocal tics. That's a very recent thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to be thinking about it for the rest of this podcast.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say an for the rest of this
No,
podcast.
you already set yourself up to fail. It's
forensically go through this in the edit.
Watch this. Everything goes right if you say watch
but
this.
it's like Valley girl speak, which has kind of gone away because it's become part of language. But I'm from the valley, and then vocal fry.
I love
I love vocal fry. Yeah.
My God.
It's interesting how the way people speak. I can hear kids' voices on the bus, and I know roughly how old they are because there's just a certain slant in the English accent now. Because I'm still an outsider, even though I've lived here for a very long time, since I was 20.
But it's also the way that people spoke on the news back then as well. It's very sort of formal, stunted thing, isn't it?
It's like they've been trained to talk to the media.
Yeah.
Because they talk much better than half the sports people that end up
Absolutely.
having a camera
Absolutely,
shoved in their
yeah.
face. No offense on the sports people because they're
No, but they're
whatever.
slovenly.
Yeah, but they come up with stock answers and stuff. But these kids, they're interviewed and they give such clear answers and they know what they saw.
Yeah.
And there you go. Finish the podcast.
I'm sorry, man.
Going.
But they never, what is interesting about them is none of them ever break. So like if they were fabricating a story, because you could say, a bunch of school kids could get together and go, let's make up the story. But over time, even at the time, one of them or two of them would have broken, you would think, or over time they would have broken. And you're right, we're going to go into some of the stories about interviews they gave later in life, but none of them broke at all if they were putting on. So they genuinely must have seen something for that to be so consistent. 14
kids, and I don't know how well you know small Welsh schools, but that's probably the whole school there.
I thought you were about to say small Welsh kids.
I agree. It's amazing that none of them go, well, no, it was actually just a lorry.
Yeah.
Because they were unsettled by it. It wasn't as eloquent as they are when they were given their witness statement. It frightened them, and I mean it is a kind of frightening thing,
But that story then set off so much then in the area, and that's where the whole thing of the Welsh triangle, the dyfed triangle, whatever people want to call it, because so many then happened throughout the rest of the 70s and
but it does. I guess it puts when something like that happens, which it was a major news story at the time, and it
was on John Craven's Newsround.
John Craven's Newsround, right? So that's
Newsround, as in. On CBBC. Oh, amazing.
So I wasn't old enough for this to be new. I know I'm ancient, but it wasn't old enough to see it, in real time. But the commemorative episodes of John Craven's Newsround, this was one of the things that they would trot out.
Yeah.
And it's like, John, this happened in Wales. Yeah. And I thought I didn't know Wales was part of the landmass of the UK. I thought, Wales, is that somewhere out in sea? Because I kind of thought are they wheels that make a country? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're working on it. We've got a lot of
I was very young.
Pushing us away slowly.
So the Broadhaven School UFO sighting. David Davies, who was 10 at the time, had heard rumours of flying saucers.
He was 30.
From other pupils on the day, but did not believe them. He said, I was a natural born skeptic, so after the bell rang, I decided to go to the area that the children said they had seen it. But then he saw a silver cigar-shaped craft with a dome covering the middle third. None of the teachers believed the children, and so the headmaster separated them and got them to draw what they saw. There were slight variations, but what they drew was basically the same. So exactly like you said, they separate the kids, got them to draw them. And the drawings, have you seen pictures of the pictures?
Yes, and there's a whole book of these pictures in school where it still is now.
Oh, is there?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
It's there, and all the pictures are there, and what the kids wrote underneath there. It's an amazing little time
It is
capsule
amazing.
of what
It is
happened.
amazing. And
I'd
you're
love
right.
to see that.
It is really consistent because the detail, variations, but it is the crux of it is pretty much the same all the way through.
And another detail that cropped up there, and then in a lot of these other stories that happened in the area, is 7-foot men.
Yes.
You read about this?
Yes.
The 7-foot silver men. Yeah. And a few people saw these 7-foot silver men going around.
Because there were different sightings, and people were threatened by them.
Yeah.
There was have you got the farmhouse where there were I can't remember. I want to say Pauline.
Yes. Yeah. We've got that. Yeah. So following the sighting, media descended on the quiet village, and as Davies put it, the next few days were a wild roller coaster. He said it went crazy with the media and it was difficult to settle down and actually think about what he had seen. One family in particular was very severely affected by it all. The Coombs family, who were employed at the Ripperston farm, had a number of very strange experiences. Among these were sightings of UFOs from their car, a 7-foot silver-suited being with a black visor appearing outside their window, constant mechanical disturbances, including their car and television set repeatedly breaking down and having to be replaced, and their cows seemingly being teleported from one field to another.
Yes, I saw something about one farmer. I think it was this Coombs family. He'd just got his cows and put them in the milking shed, and then went back to his farm, and then the phone rang, and it was, do you know about this?
It gets a phone call, and he said, can you come and get your cows out of my bloody field? They're eating my profits.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, what are you talking about? It was I've just put them in the shed. I've just put them in the shed.
Yeah.
And he had to get his sons to go and get it.
A mile away. Yeah. They were a mile away.
See, that's hard to explain, right?
Well,
the other bits you could sort of explain. You could say, oh, maybe it was a local RAF testing thing, or a guy in a suit might have been a prank, whatever. But the teleporting cows.
Yes, and I like the Welsh angle on it.
Yeah.
You know, the 70s, there was so much alien stories around, and the Welsh version of it obviously includes cows disappearing.
Absolutely. It's. I love that part of the story.
Yes.
It's just.
What's great about that is this is a farmer that's done his work. Like, he doesn't want to go and get his cow. Like, this is the idea that this. I'm not saying pranks weren't pulled.
Yeah.
But the idea that this was some sort of fabrication or lies. It's just no. These are hardworking farmers, and
they don't have time for life.
They just don't. No. They just
but also,
don't.
This is an age before social media, right? Before you can actually really monetize this stuff, before you can get internet famous. So the benefit of that, and most of these people just want to be left alone to get on with their lives. They don't really want media and people descending on their village and sort of traipsing all over it. So it does feel like there's value in what they saw. Whether what they saw was what they think they saw is sort of irrelevant. They seem to be. It seems very genuine when they're telling these stories.
Yes.
Yeah, and I have a friend who is nearly 7 foot tall.
Brag.
He's just under 7 foot tall, and I have never seen him wear silver. You know. So
got to ask questions, haven't you?
You've got to ask questions.
Yeah. It's that kind of inquisitive mind is exactly why you're here. 2 months later, Rosa Granville, who ran the Haven Fort Hotel in nearby Little Haven, described seeing an object which looked like an upside-down saucer and two faceless humanoid creatures with pointed heads. She said so much heat came off it, her face felt burned. There was light coming from it and flames of all colours. Then the creatures came out of the flames. That's what I don't understand, she said. Somewhat distressed by the encounter, Mrs. Granville wrote a letter to her MP. I love that as a reaction.
I'm going to do something about this.
Right to my MP.
Heat in Wales? I'm going to sort this out.
Who promptly asked the Ministry of Defence to investigate, the MP did. The MP said at the time, I am being inundated at the present time with representations about UFOs said to have been seen in Pembrokeshire. It turns out the RAF were asked to carry out a discreet probe of the area to investigate. So this wasn't made public at the time, actually, was it? That because it was reported.
The school kids bit was reported, and then the later ones were reported, but not.
But it was sort of the media weren't reporting the fact. Well, probably maybe they didn't know at the time. Who knows? But they weren't reporting the fact that authorities were actually investigating this and what had happened, because so many people had seen such a similar case of something.
Yeah. So I think overall, looking at my stat that I wrote down, the one stat I wrote down, at least 450 people in the area reported something mysterious. I don't know over what time period that is.
Half the population of Wales.
That is surprising. Yeah. That is a whole village there and more chipping in on the same thing.
Yeah. It is amazing. But what's interesting is because these stories there's variations with this, but it's the number of things that are coming together. Now you could argue that they were already a little bit spooked by these stories that were flying about in the area, and then your mindset goes to like, you're looking for weird behavior, if you're looking for weird stuff, so your TV starts acting up, your car breaks down, you start linking it to things that have happened in time. That stuff could be coincidental, right?
Well, the Kumas, is it?
Yes, Coombs.
The Coombs. So the version of that I heard, there was a tall silver being came to their window and held his hand up. It did
in the car. That's right.
And was like there was a threatening aspect to it all, and that being didn't go till the police arrived.
Yes.
So like they phoned the police and stuff. I appreciate. I realize we're not arguing, but I appreciate. The reason I think this is such a good UFO sighting is none of these people are like, hey, let's do something fun.
No.
They're working farmers. Life is not easy, because you have to get up. Like if I'm from Northern Ireland, and that's a farming community as well. And like I used to go to school. I used to work with kids. I used to go to school with kids that were up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do farming before they came to school.
Yeah,
and that was quite common. Yeah, And I'm definitely not a farmer because I can't get up before 9. But no one laughed. Great.
It's because we know.
Yeah, but it's just that's one of the reasons why I love this so much. I think it's such a great. I'm so glad you chose it because this something weird happened that hasn't been accounted for. Could have been the Ruskies because it was the Cold War then, but I don't think. Why would they go into wheels?
And then there's that annoying detail of there being an RAF base nearby, which is a bit, that could turn to a lot of things.
It's a very convenient explanation, though, isn't it?
But I like the three main ones, the ones that we've spoken about there: the school, the Coombs family, and then the hotel. There's such different people. They wouldn't have had this meeting together to come up with it. Yeah.
The level of collusion that would be required.
Yes.
And to consistently hammer out their stories. And again, for none of them to break over a decade.
None of them had WhatsApp. How could they organise that?
Yeah.
As if they'd be in the same group anyway.
We've all been to rural Wales. WhatsApp wouldn't have worked that well.
They were affecting the WhatsApp as well, though, the aliens. The televisions, the cars, and the WhatsApp. They were really cutting us off from the rest of the world. That's what they're doing.
So an extract of a private memoriam to the Provost and Security Service of the RAF, effectively the military police, mentions the number of level-headed witnesses to the strange activity. It actually calls them level-headed in the report. It reads, I should be grateful if you would let me know whether you think some of the discreet inquiry would be worthwhile, or even whether there is evidence for a more serious specialist inquiry. The author of the letter adds, I have not even told the minister I am consulting you. Nick Pope, who worked as a UFO investigator for the MOD, said, this bombshell document shows how the MOD's UFO project asked the RAF police to conduct a secret investigation into these mysterious events, while Parliament, the media, and the public were being told it was of no defence significance. That's quite interesting. I've always wondered that stuff, right? When you're investigating something like that, who do you tell?
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't say who are you going to call. It was there. It was on the plate,
on the table. Yeah, that's why we need 3 comedians in the room. So one of us gets to the punchline.
Someone picks it up.
There, yeah.
But I think that you're just laughing now at your own joke from earlier. That's what that delay was.
Do you know what it is? I kind of try not to laugh because there's nothing worse than a podcast where they're, ha ha, you're so funny. There's nothing worse. But then me trying not to laugh made me laugh more.
Yeah.
I
when
think
you're
you're
in
both
a situation when you're not allowed to laugh. That's when it's like a library or something.
Or funerals.
Funerals. Hilarious.
Hilarious funerals. They are
really
hilarious.
Funny.
Yeah,
because the little detail will make you chuckle.
Because one shit joke at a funeral is because it just breaks the silence, doesn't it? It breaks the atmosphere.
Yeah.
should I tell this story? A friend of mine, mum died recently, and I was at her funeral because she's a great woman.
Grounds for comedy.
Oh, right.
Here we go.
But my friend got up and did the eulogy, and the first line was, "She was a fucking nightmare," and we all burst into laughter. And it was because she was, and we loved her so much, and it was just wonderful because we had that laugh.
So nice, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was a great speech, and I'm gonna cry. So oh my god!
But that's awesome though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is it. Yes, of course you say that story. Say it again, and I'll laugh at the second time.
Because then it gives you license to celebrate who she was,
she was
rather than trying to mask it and going, she did this and she did that. Wasn't she amazing? It's like, no, this is who she really was.
Yeah, I think I remember it must have been the first funeral I went to because I was young. Yeah, it must have been, and I can remember vaguely that there was a lot of just talking about this guy having loads of speeding tickets, and I even as a kid thinking, oh, that's so fun that people just think about these funny things at funerals.
Yeah,
and that's what got me into comedy.
I always remember
I think it was hilarious.
John Cleese making a speech at Graham Chapman's, and it would be all been very formal and silent in this big old church, and they'd done the hymns and all the prayers and stuff, and then John Cleese went up and made the speech and called him a freeloading bastard. And he was glad he was gone, and it just loosened the atmosphere. It was amazing. I think it's
weirdly said with so much love.
It is,
not vitriol.
Other reports suggest the event may have been down to a local prankster. So, Flight Lieutenant Cowan, a officer from RAF Broady, visited Miss Granville's hotel and examined the site, but could find no evidence of a landing. She joked, should a UFO arrive at RAF Broady, we will charge normal landing fees. So she's got plans.
Oh yeah? Funny guy. Funny guy.
Gotta write that one down.
So this is like, I mean, I don't know if you saw in the BBC article, but somebody has come forward years later and admitted that they did do some pranks.
Yes.
Dressed in silver.
Yeah.
And they were clothes used in a local, did you say it was an oil?
There's a number of things. Yes, there's the RAF. There is a local sewage works or some sort of site like that.
At one of them, they'd have these big silver overalls.
Yes, correct.
And I think it was after some of the kids reporting it, or everything that came out of it. There is a guy that has come forward and said that he definitely did some pranks on people.
Yeah.
But even that's quite cool because I was looking at the article and it was like he came forward and spoke about it in 1996. So that's so long after. The fact that he's held on to that is really cool.
I love it. Really cool. And even if, because there's also, the silly comedian would also say, this did happen and he's trying to make a name for himself. He wants a bit of publicity as well. Do you know what I mean? Like you come forward and go, that was me. And because it's so long ago, there's no real footage of it. There's no real evidence of it. You could just come and then you get into the paper and you write a book or whatever. So, and I mean now, absolutely, I'd be incredibly cynical. Even in the 90s though, which I think is when he came forward. Still kind of a little bit.
20 years after, which is really quite cool that he like holds just grumbling at him already. You hate this guy.
But it adds to the story.
It does. But again,
holding
I come
on to
back
it for 22 years.
I can't hold on to anything for like 5 minutes. It's wait till you hear this. But like,
do you panic when somebody says you can't tell anyone this? Yeah, and you're like, oh fuck, I am gonna tell everyone this. I'm gonna tweet about it.
Oh my god, there's a comedian called Maria Bamford. I don't know if you know her. She's my favorite comedian, and she has this thing where she tells everybody everything. It's preventative honesty. I do not ask me to keep a secret. She will buy you a present. She will tell you as you're unpacking the present what it is. Yeah. She had already phoned you to make sure that was the right present. Like preventative honesty. I tell you everything. And do you know what? I think that's the best policy. It is a very healthy way to live. Yeah. And if you're telling somebody, if you tell me this, I will tell everyone. Yeah, at least being upfront about it. So when you go and do it, if you've done it, they've shot themselves in the foot by telling you in the first place. Yeah. Do you not think that there are people, though, when you say, oh, do not tell anyone this, you sometimes tell somebody something because you know they're going to tell people. Yeah, I think you don't want to be the one that if you want a secret spread, you start with that. Yeah. You definitely, and you know who you turn to. Yeah. And then they'll just be on the phone. Yeah. Oh my God. Especially in like a small town or, do you know what I mean? Or on a school or something. You know the people. Yeah. Yeah. I think you also reach a certain age where you get a kick out of spreading the message about somebody recently dying.
you get to a certain age where you're like, oh my God, have you heard about Janice? Is it Janice? Oh my God. Right then. And then the phone book comes out and you highlight all the people that you're going to call. And it gets to 10 o'clock at night. You're like, what a busy day. I've told everyone now about Janice. And yeah, satisfaction comes out of it.
Yeah.
Being the one that passes it around.
There's still, because I know we talked before about, we've done a whole episode on Paul McCartney being dead. And there's obviously lots of dead celebrities that have been replaced. But that still happens even now. And I love that. I love that cause I think it was one a few years ago when Cliff Richard, it was reported, some publication reported Cliff Richard was dead. Yeah. And then Cliff Richard had to come out and say, I'm not dead. And
what a statement.
It's a great
That's
statement.
excellent.
But I love that British sense of humour. I love that still happens even now in this modern age where it's so easy to check whether someone's dead or not. He still has to come out and feel the need to tell people he's not dead.
That could have just been AI.
Yeah.
I mean, scary.
Yeah.
It could have been.
It could be. I mean, look at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen to him.
Yeah.
The last couple of years haven't been great for
Nice.
old Cliff Richard.
My parents saw Tom Jones in a concert recently. His voice.
Amazing voice.
It is getting better and better.
It is. I think that too. Because it's getting deeper, more gravelly.
Yeah, there's a quality.
There's a quality. So it's not maybe the projection isn't what it was in the 60s, 70s, but it's just it suits the style of music he's doing now.
Yeah, he's adjusting to it.
Yeah.
He's not trying to do the same stuff and in the same way or anything.
But he's a phenomenal, like Tom Jones. My God,
Yeah.
have you seen the clip with him in the 70s from his TV show where he's singing with Janis Joplin?
No.
Well, now you've got homework, and it's very good homework. It's amazing. He's just phenomenal.
He started the concert with a song about going old, which is really good and like self-reflective and just like what's the word, like claiming it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Amazing voice.
I also love him on The Voice, and I'm not a fan of those shows at all.
Yeah.
But just the authority when he speaks, and because he doesn't actually say a lot, and like the others yabba yabba yabba, and they'll all talk, and then he'll go, I like your voice.
It's simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tremendous.
Yeah,
tremendous. Yeah. I've
Needs
only
a
ever
little
seen
bit
clips
more
of him.
feeling. Just like just emphasizes
An icon.
one word, and the crowd go mental. It's brilliant.
Do you know Spotify does that thing where it does a shuffle and it just randomly picks something just based on you or whatever like that? I was driving back home, having lived in London for a few months or whatever at the time. As I was going over the Severn Bridge, it randomly picked Green Green Grass of Home.
Oh,
it was incredible.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Timing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful song.
Excellent song.
Beautiful song.
Again, tears.
Yeah.
I like a good cry though.
Yeah. So in his reports, this is going back to the RAF officer's report. In this report, he mentioned the possibility that a local prankster was at work, and the description of aliens fitted exactly the type of protection suit that would have been issued in the event of a fire at one of the local oil refineries. This fits in with the account of businessman Glyn Edwards, who in 1996 revealed he had wandered around the area in a silver suit in 1977 as a prank. It's a weird thing to do. I mean, I can sort of see...
Yeah, he's done it on the back of the attention.
Yeah.
He's not, like, I'm sure I got that timeline right now, that he didn't do it
you did,
and
absolutely.
then it, all that was happening and he was like, oh, I'm going to chip in here.
Yeah.
And I do admire that as well.
I admire that too. Because whether he did or didn't do it, he's still doing it for attention. He's still saying it for attention.
Legend.
Yeah.
Absolute legend.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good old Glyn.
Of course it was Glenn.
Of course it was Glyn. Who else? The
Classic
National
Glyn.
Archives also released files which examined UFO sightings across Wales, and the officials who navigated the Broadhaven sightings suspected pranksters. I mean, you would suspect pranksters, wouldn't you? Like, what else would it be if he wasn't that? I guess you could say they were testing RAF equipment or whatever it was.
That's one that they go to a lot.
Yeah, they do.
Because there was that facility nearby.
Yeah.
And the Cold War was on at the time. And like testing things out always comes up as a reason behind things.
Yeah, and it is very convenient that it is that close. There is general speculation in the neighbourhood that the practical joker may be at work, wrote staff at S4, the government department that investigated sightings at the time. More recently, a former US Navy sailor said the figure in the silver suit was in fact a member of the US military personnel wearing their standard fireproof uniform, and the UFOs were new Harrier jets flying over.
No.
You so don't want to believe that.
But it just isn't that. It just isn't that.
I have to say, the pictures of the kids drew,
Right.
that don't look like any Harrier jump jet
these-
we've ever seen.
These
I went
kids
on a-
weren't like they knew about Harrier jump jets. They knew about they.
Well, not at the time, I don't think. Well, maybe they did, but
Of course, look at the footage. They knew about Harrier
Yeah,
jets.
well, yeah.
Them kids know about taxes. They know about life. They've all got wills.
Yeah.
They know about this. They know how to deal with life.
Got a pension.
You know,
They all chipped in with the teaching from the footage.
but you don't want to believe that this is.
I think it's dismissive of what was reported. Like
Yeah.
genuinely, the kids drew the cigar shape. They described it. Was that an angle of a plane? Well, possibly, but that's not what they're trying to say. They're trying to explain away something that was odd.
And the way that they describe it as landing, a Harrier jump jet wouldn't be at that angle.
No.
Like, they come down vertically, but they don't. It would be the wrong way round for that to even be conceivable.
Yeah, and the area behind the schoolyard as well it's not flat. It's lots of trees and shrubbery and stuff around like that. And
No, it wasn't easy. And who goes for a walk in fireproof outfits?
I mean, you've got to be safe though, haven't you?
Yeah.
In this weather,
Yeah.
but
am I
right?
right?
Oh my God,
I am stuck to the chair.
I
mean, I'm wearing
brother.
shorts.
I am with you.
I'm going to rip off so much
Tom
skin.
isn't going nowhere tonight.
No, I can take this. It's a nice chair.
Yeah, it's a nice chair.
For the listeners, let's describe the chair.
Listen, when George did the studio up, no expense spared.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
expense.
Oh,
there.
not at all.
No,
But
it's-
George is wearing trousers, so he knows he can get up from a chair.
Yeah,
You know
it's
it.
true. He does.
Yeah, very clever boy.
In an emergency. So what did the children see in their own words? So Michael Matheson Webb said it was a silver and a cigar shape with a big dome and a red light flashing on top. We couldn't believe it at first. One of the boys ran down the road to tell Sir, but he didn't believe it. I watched it for between 3 and 5 minutes. It had a flashing red light and I'm sure it was a spaceship. It definitely wasn't a helicopter. Everyone is sure they saw something. It seemed cigar shaped with a large dome on the top. I was frightened when I saw it. And this is pretty consistent. There's another one here, Philip Rees, who was 10, and this is him reflecting back on it as an adult. He said, Sean and David Ward, these are two of his friends, came running in and said that there was something there. So me and the other boys went up to the top of the playing field. We saw something silver and disc shaped. There seemed to be a door opening from the object. David Davies and Tudor Jones saw a figure. They said it was silver. The object had a dome on top of it with a light. It was a very dull day, but I did see something. My friends and I asked the headmaster to take a look at the object, but he refused. A couple of my friends saw movement of a figure, but I did not. I was frightened. Two friends, Tudor and David, were very frightened. What's interesting here is that they don't all claim to have seen the same thing. Do you know what I mean? But there are consistent parts of all of their stories. But there's quite a lot of honesty in here, and I just think that would be an incredible amount of detail for someone to go into if they were fabricating that in collusion with a load of boys that they were friends with 30 or 40 years ago.
Yeah.
One of the things I think is very, very interesting. So kids, especially, these are quite tough kids, agricultural kids.
Yep.
I'm not saying they were bad kids or anything. I'm not saying that. But, saying that you were afraid, that's a really big deal. And the fact that that's documented repeatedly, they were frightened. They said they were frightened. There was permission to be frightened in that there was something weird and unusual and out of place. And because kids never say, oh, I was frightened. Unless there's reason to. And that's because everybody was frightened and everything was okay. And there is the argument then, well, they were frightened and they so that created hysteria. But that's not what happened. Terrible things can happen. You can witness them, or scary things can happen and you can witness them and not actually fabricate things,
Well, because here he's saying, these two boys saw this.
Yeah.
I went down and I saw this, which is not the same thing.
Yeah, and not the same time either.
Not the same time, exactly.
That's a nice little detail there. That They all go back and forth at a different time, and then they all see something there.
Yeah.
And it's like it says 5 minutes, but I think it was a longer period of time that they saw. It was like over 10 minutes.
They did initially. This is the kid seeing it. So his friends have come in and told him this is out there. He's gone out there. So I think it was there for 10 minutes. He's only seen it for 3 to 5 minutes. But that's still a long time to be staring at something.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you say earlier on that there was also another school that saw something? I don't know if it's the same day or maybe just the same year or maybe even just recently. But I think there were teachers seeing something.
Yes,
Again, at a
the
lunchtime.
teachers saw it.
Yeah, the teachers also saw it. So I think same. same school, but a different day. And it was the teachers that saw it.
It's the same school.
Yeah, I think so.
Broadhaven School.
Yeah, Broadhaven, yeah. So 14 children, seen by teachers. So basically, about a week and a half later, the teachers claimed to have seen it, but I don't necessarily think in the same place, but from the same school.
They just wanted Newsround to come back.
Yeah, basically.
That's what it was.
That's
what it was. I remember one of the first times I came across this story and I looked into it. The first thing that I thought of seeing them pictures that they drew was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, it's 70s.
Yep.
Space race. Obviously, they saw that and then drew the pictures. And then I looked up and saw that the film came out in November 1977.
It did.
So I had this amazing moment of going, what? So they drew the pictures and then the film came out?
Yeah.
And I was really naive in thinking that was the only sci-fi film that came out. There had been plenty more before then.
But what is interesting about it, because actually Close Encounters is not far off, actually. And when you look at the sort of it's rural community,
real similar shape.
Yeah, very similar shape, spaceships, and it's more in that film about alluding to it. You don't see it that much, do you? Apart from like
the light and people disappearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think when it comes to like horror films and stuff in general, I prefer it when you can't see whatever. Like, do you know in Jaws?
Yeah,
it's scary until you see the shark.
Yeah.
And then you see the shark and you go, well, that's not scary anymore now because you could see it's a big pile of rubber.
Yeah. But that's why Jaws is so good, because
the fin just going around and just the noise.
And the shark kept breaking, didn't it? So they couldn't use it that much anyway, which makes it a better film.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a play about it. So Ian Shaw's son wrote a play about his dad
in the West
called,
End.
and it was the first thing I saw after lockdown.
Yeah.
They were allowed to go out. And
you're going to start crying again.
I am going to start crying. The shark is broken.
The shark is broken. That's it.
It is so good because Ian Shaw's son, he goes out on stage and it's the ghost of his dad. He is every wheel and turn of his dad, especially made up to look like, not Brody. What do you call that guy? So it's Brody, Richard Dreyfuss, and I can't remember the I want to say Clute, and that's a completely different film.
Clute.
Quint, thank you. Oh, see, this is how I know I'm getting older. These are all on the tip of my tongue. It's an amazing. If you ever get the chance to see it, I couldn't recommend it more.
I've heard. Yeah, it was brilliantly reviewed.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah, it was a thing.
I thought it was all a very clever idea to make it just the fin.
No. There was.
They wanted to show more of the shark and just
much more, and it just didn't work from the get go.
I remember when Paranormal Activity came out as well. I was in school at the time, and we'd free lessons. You just find a projector screen and watch it, and it was.
What age were you when you watched that film? What age were you when you watched that film?
I would have been in sixth form, so like 17.
Oh, enough. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
because I'm a heavy duty horror fan, and even Paranormal Activity fucked me up a little bit. Oh, okay, that's scary.
At the time, it was pretty
so
amazing.
Good,
it was good because it's that thing of not seeing it. It's just the simple. Getting scared about just a door moving is far more than just like actually seeing, like in Jaws, seeing the actual shark.
There's one of the sequences in Paranormal Activity. They couldn't get the shot right, and that's what you see on the screen, and people thought it was paranormal, and it was like, no, we just couldn't get the
they couldn't get it.
Couldn't get it right.
It's why they use the music so much in the film, because they had to allude to the shark being nearby or going past the boat without actually that being the case. Or sometimes you see like a glimpse of a bit of shark, but that's because the whole thing wasn't fucking working.
Did not work.
Spielberg, when he first heard the theme, because John Williams wrote the theme, and I think gave him like 3 months or 6 months or something to write it, and he went around and they played him like the dana. Apparently he hated it. Initially hated it. And then saw it against the early footage with the shark, and he was like, and he went, yeah.
John Williams has been nominated for Oscars in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, 10s and 20s.
But that's because he's
good in it.
Yeah.
And old.
If he dies,
amazing.
Does all music and films stop?
Oh, films stop.
Films stop. Yeah. There's no
Think of
point in
something
carrying
Well, I
on.
mean, Hollywood's dying as we speak.
Yeah, that's why TV. That's why TV's taken over, because because of the John Williams.
Not in Milford Haven though.
No,
the
definitely
TV
not.
crackling. That's not something that would be happening in West Wales in the 70s.
There were only 3 channels, probably even 2, because it was a hilly community.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, like we could get BBC and ITV and BBC Two sometimes, and Channel 4 was an idea. It just, you know, I remember when seeing Channel 4 for the first time, which was about 2 years into it being broadcast, going, oh, this is amazing.
I do remember some my family that lived in the Valleys used to say that sometimes they couldn't get BBC Two, but they could get French radio. It'd be like that. That was the like.
I love listening to
French
French radio.
Yeah,
I occasionally get a kick of thinking, oh, I want to improve my French, so I'll stick on French radio and I'll just listen to it. I don't learn a thing, but I just listen to it.
To be honest, French radio right now, probably not great. There's a lot going on over there.
There's a lot going on over there.
Yeah. So Jeremy Passmore, who was 9 at the time, also saw the UFO during the lunch break. I saw the UFO when it was dinner time. It was silvery green and had a yellowy orange to red colour light. Well, it was a disc at the bottom of a sort of dome on the top with a light at the top. It was about 300 yards away. It moved a minute and then disappeared. It did have a noise, but I didn't hear it. How did you get a noise then?
It did have a noise, definitely.
But I didn't hear it,
I refused to listen. I closed my ears.
We were very scared. David George wanted someone to go to the toilet with him. Judy Jones was nearly crying because he was scared he was going to be disintegrated or something, so we all rushed in. Some of our school did not believe us. We tried to make them believe, but they would not. Paul Williams was seemingly also with the group and recalled, we saw something come out of it. He had a helmet. We ran over and told Sir, and when we went back, it wasn't there. Class teacher Mrs. Morgan later said, I saw it too, you know, it was real. When they went, a little whirlwind of dust came across the playground. It was almost as if they were saying goodbye.
Ooh, I like that. That's a nice little touch.
I bet she taught drama.
Yeah, of course she did. Or she
Just
drank.
the description there. That's not a maths teacher, is it? No. But you're right. I mean, this is the thing that the teachers initially were skeptical, which you would be if 14 school children came in and said, "Oh, we saw a UFO." But then the fact that some of them had seen something, there was something. There must have been something, right?
And that's what I like about stories like this in general, because you go back further than the 70s and, you know, sci-fi and everything like that, and you go back into folklore. Again, it's things that confuse you, and then you add a story to it. And I love that. I think that's excellent. Like I said earlier about like the land influencing stories and stories coming from that, something just being mysterious, and it's great.
It is great. I don't know how much this has been embellished over the years, because when I looked at the old footage like you were talking about, it doesn't seem to have changed what they're saying now doesn't seem to be hugely different to what they said back then. No. They've made more sense of what they saw. But often with those stories, and we've said this before on the podcast, is that over time you embed. Roswell, a classic example of that. People take a story that was nothing back in the day, and they're like, well, we can make money from this, we can monetize this. But that's not the motivation here, because no one's making any money or name for themselves particularly, are they?
No, I mean, and they could. I mean, the kids got interviewed as adults. Okay, so there's maybe a bit that maybe they got TV fees. So they did all this for £300 extra in their pocket. I mean, okay, maybe it goes further in Wales, but you know, like you know,
you can get a house for that.
Yeah.
I know.
Is London
the 70s?
a weird place?
My parents keep on saying, "Come back to Northern Ireland." I go, well, I can't because you live there. Anyway, no, I love my parents. I love my parents. No, but yeah, like it just doesn't. It's not the hustle that.
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't feel like it was. It just doesn't have that tone about it that anyone's trying to sort of monetize or gain fame out of this at all.
Them 3 incidents they're such different people as well, and similarities in the stories are like this. They're so good, like the 7-foot men in silver suits.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It is beautiful. So theories and explanations. Several theories have been proposed to explain the Welsh Triangle phenomena. Skeptics suggest that many of the sightings can be attributed to misidentified conventional aircraft, atmospheric phenomena, or even psychological factors such as the mass hysteria. For instance, the area is known for military training exercise, which could account for some of the strange lights and objects reported in the sky. I mean, we said this earlier, but that is a very classic explanation for this stuff. Roswell, actually very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it is near an airbase. A lot of people...
Roswell was a crash, was it? Is it?
Yeah.
And,
It was a crash.
the clear-up is the part of
The clear-up is the thing that was covered up.
Yeah.
Or the theory is that it was covered up. So the theory is that it was an air balloon. They were testing some sort of spying air balloon. This was sort of just before the Cold War. It crashed. And there was a report done, and it all got taken away. There was a report that was going to be done, wasn't it? But all the debris got taken away. The debris somehow got lost, and some of the evidence, such as it was, got misplaced, and I think some of the reports went missing as well.
Yeah.
It's fascinating, but it's lacking cows, that story.
Yes,
isn't
it is.
Yeah,
That's it. There's no cows in it.
Although weirdly, there's an image of and from Roswell of a cow being beamed up. Like it's the idea that cows somehow livestock gets taken by UFOs is a universal thing.
I bet that came in after they heard the Welsh Triangle story,
Of
though.
course.
They just added a cow in. They're like, well, we're not being outdone by them.
Yeah, I mean, all these stories start in the countryside. But mind you, you can't blame them.
No.
If they were going to visit somewhere, Pembrokeshire is a good place to
It is
go.
a beautiful area of the
Exactly,
country.
and they'd go on holiday there.
They would.
And they just want to have a nice, peaceful time, really.
Yeah.
That's what they...
What if they were visiting Earth and they've got lots of cows? You got to go see the cows.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of burgers? Oh, you need to go there.
Oh, I live near a Five Guys, and oh my god, like
Too
When
near.
I started doing
Too
stand-up,
near.
I had a rule: if the gig went well, I'd treat myself to a Five Guys. And
That's
if
a good
the gig
rule.
Went poorly, I'd treat myself to a Five Guys. And I don't know. There's no in between in stand-up. You'd never have a gig that's like, oh, that was all right.
Yeah.
It's always either good or bad. So I was very poor starting.
And also, we can absolutely picture which gig it is you're talking about that's right next to a Five Guys as well. So, but it is dangerous when that happens, isn't it? When you've got something like that right next to a venue.
the amount of times I've walked past the Five Guys near where I live, and my resolve is like, I need to save money. I don't have the money for this, and then all of a sudden I'm ordering.
Well, you've got like gym, Five Guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Wimbledon. It's similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Five Guys, and then the gym's not far away either. Yeah.
I've also got a Popeye's chicken near me as well.
Oh, they're good.
They're good.
Proper good.
They are good.
And a really good sushi place, and it's just like, oh, come on, but I could have the money for this, and then I find myself having a
God damn the gentrification of Walthamstow.
God damn it.
However, proponents of the paranormal offer alternative explanations. Some suggest that the Welsh Triangle is a hotspot for extraterrestrial activity, pointing to the consistency and number of UFO sightings as evidence. Others propose that the region's rich history and ancient sites, such as stone circles and burial mounds, might be focal points for geomagnetic anomalies or other Earth energies that could contribute to paranormal experiences.
I have no idea what you just said.
I don't either.
So many big words there.
Yeah.
It's to do with ley lines and everything, because one of the things that the kids might have seen is ball lightning, which does exist, although it's debated. And ball lightning is a big ball of lightning that floats around.
Yeah.
And it was argued that it wasn't real because it follows people. It has like a mind of its own. I'm not saying it's sentient, and that might be what the kids have seen, and it is associated with ley lines. But I think they saw a UFO. They kept on saying it was cigar shaped.
Yeah, brilliant.
Right, that's very clear definition.
One particularly intriguing aspect of the Welsh Triangle is its association with poltergeist activity. Residents reported objects moving on their own, unexplained noises, and even apparitions. These reports, whilst less publicised than the UFO sightings, adds another layer of mystery to this area. Some researchers argue that these occurrences might be linked to the area's unique geology, which could generate electromagnetic fields influencing human perception and behaviour.
Yeah, in all them stories, there's not much trace left after things. I can remember reading one, though, on the Coombs family, and one of the kids saw this gigantic man.
Yeah.
And then the next day, there was one big footprint.
Yeah.
And that's like the only...
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's quite a funny one. Like, in the interview, he's like, well, there's no way that could have been a human foot. It could have been something, though.
I love that. I mean, now if there was a cow in your living room, you just take a picture straight away. But then you'd be accused of faking that. Whereas back then, if they'd got a photo of those teleporting cows,
Yes, that's what we want.
yeah. So cultural impact and legacy. The Welsh Triangle has had a lasting impact on both culture and the broader field of paranormal research. It has inspired numerous books, documentaries and articles, keeping the mystery alive in the public imagination. For the local communities, these events have become part of their cultural heritage, with some areas even incorporating the phenomena into their tourism strategies. But you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah, because it's great. There's so much there.
Yeah.
There's so much fun to be had with it.
Yeah.
I think it's hard when it comes to like UFOs and aliens and things like that. Because, I mean, space is a big place. I think that's the tagline that they use.
They
as
do.
As soon
They
as you
do.
leave Earth,
They
there's
were
a big
going to go that
sign.
with the film Alien. They were
Yeah.
it wasn't going to be in space. Not going to scream.
There's a
Space. It's big.
Big place.
On the moon, there's a sign that says "Space is a big place. Drive carefully." That's what it says. But like, so
I want to be in that sci-fi show. Go by, drive carefully, and then
I love it. Yeah. Well, then let's start this.
yeah.
So like you know, I believe that there's life out there. Obviously, you know, it's enormous. It's huge. But I don't believe that things have come here. You know, that was a big sigh.
I don't know.
It's weird. I think that with all of these, when we always talk about UFOs, we're like, why would they just pop in and do nothing?
Yeah.
Like, also, you know, and they pop into rural Pembrokeshire.
Well, we've covered this already.
We have covered this already.
Very
The tourism.
Yeah.
Do you know what? You know, there's actually a big problem.
Yeah.
with tourism in second homes.
Well,
and stuff like that.
This is true because
They went there, they saw the prices of second homes on the coast, and they were like, "We're going."
But was that the case? Because that is definitely a problem now. I've got friends that live in that area, and I'm very well aware of that issue. But I can understand why it's an issue because it's such a beautiful area of the country.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. It's like that double-edged sword of like the tourism is obviously something you want to encourage, and you can see why the beaches in Pembrokeshire they're gorgeous. But then during COVID, particularly when people realised they could work from home, you know, the prices of these houses just shot up.
Yeah.
Because people in London were buying them up. And now you're losing communities, which is really, really sad. There's places where they're just entirely holiday cottages.
Yeah.
And, you know, now in the summer, they'll be heaving. And then you get to Christmas time when it's really quiet and there's no community there.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It's very Anglified, isn't it, Pembrokeshire?
Yes,
Because that
very,
coastal
yeah.
region.
There's not all of Pembrokeshire. You got very Welsh speaking communities and stuff there, and very, very busy rural agricultural areas and stuff like that. But particularly around the coast, yeah, it's but like you say, you know, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
And
But if you want to see proper Wales, go to the valleys.
Yes. My father's side is from the Rhondda Valleys. As
Is it?
well.
Oh,
I
really?
love
Okay.
it. Yeah. I like the fact that it's all built up on top of each other.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah, it is. I remember going there as a kid and thinking it was amazing and beautiful and almost like fairy tale stuff. And do you know what I mean? Like it looks like an illustration.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cartoonish the way all the houses are on top of each other, and there's so many on one street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
Cars parked on both sides. It's rammed.
So, despite the passage of time, interest in the Welsh Triangle remains strong. Paranormal enthusiasts continue to visit the area, hoping to witness something extraordinary. The region's combination of natural beauty and enigmatic history makes it a compelling destination for those seeking to explore the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love looking into these things. I like the kick and the scare of it. And I'd love an instance like that happening with me, I think.
It's a lovely thing to embellish local stories, embellishing the culture. And I think, like we talked about Roswell many times on this podcast, but Roswell is a shithole, right? So no, people only go to Roswell because of Roswell, right? They don't go for some amazing scenery and incredible landscapes. But this area of the world is stunning. Yeah. And so to just embellish that with some lovely little kind of stories that may or may not have happened, it just adds to the mystery and the mystique of the whole place, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
I really do like the whole thing, and I like the fact that they definitely saw something.
They definitely saw
They
something.
did.
You know?
So the Welsh Triangle is a fascinating example of how local events can capture the global imagination and spark widespread curiosity and debate. Whether viewed through the lens of skepticism or belief, the phenomena reported in this small corner of Wales in the late 20th century continues to intrigue and inspire. The Welsh Triangle stands as a testament to humanity's enduring fascination with the mysteries of the universe and the unexplained events that occasionally punctuate our understanding of reality. So...
Yes.
Carwyn.
How do you know so much about this then? And where did it come?
I was a virgin as a teenager.
Oh, okay. Well, there, yeah. That's
Nothing helped. But so I know all the weird stuff, and also I am fascinated by it. You know, I think I like the idea that we're not alone.
Oh, yeah, same here.
Yeah.
When you look up UK UFO sites, or even you just Google UFO UK aliens, this is one of the stories that comes up top of the list. Yeah,
And in terms of world UFO UFO sightings, this is a very well documented one. There's also a very similar one where a UFO came down to a school in Africa. Very similar situation. This and interacted with the kids, and I can't for the life of me remember where it was in Africa, because Africa is a very big place. I think it was Kenya. Don't quote me. But this has happened before, this kind of thing, or this happened a number of times where kids have seen something, and it isn't hysteria. It isn't like, oh my goodness, here's a great story.
Yeah.
Something has gone on, and it could be earthly. It could be earthly because goodness knows there are things that we don't know about, But I like the idea that
Maybe they're trying to educate the young.
children are our future.
Yeah.
Going to schools.
Yeah,
Teach them well and let them lead the way.
exactly. Either that or they're Nazi aliens. Let's hope it's the former.
Hanging out by a playground.
Exactly.
I didn't even think of that prospect.
Non-sea aliens.
And that's what I want you to take away.
yeah. Whoa, I'm just going to keep researching this now.
So, Carwyn, did aliens land in the Welsh Triangle?
I've been trying to think of a definite. I mean, no, no, but I really want it to. I enjoy the kick out of it, and I enjoy the scare of it.
Yeah.
And but no.
It was a guy in a suit.
Not all of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's hard to just pin down. No.
Yeah. Okay. What do
Your
you-
thoughts?
I also, I'm with you. I don't think aliens
One of the
landed.
well-documented UFO sightings, and you're both going, nah, that's not good enough.
The reason, but what I would say is I don't think this is fabricated. What I mean is I think they definitely saw something.
A UFO, aliens.
I don't think these people are fabricating what they saw. I think the stories, what they believe, what they saw, and I don't necessarily think it's geology or the landscape. They've seen something, but I don't think it's aliens.
Yeah, Occam's razor strikes again.
Yeah.
I just want to, because I don't know if you made it clear, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Well, in this year of our Lord Chapel Rowan, I choose to believe that this is.
I knew you would. I knew you wanted this one.
Because this is one of that
This
happened.
is a proper good one.
I'm willing to accept that it's maybe earthbound in that it's something that we didn't know, because they've got the airbase nearby, but I don't think it's that. I think something untoward happened, unexplained, that wasn't run of the mill.
Do you know what? I think I finally figured out all that stammering that I was doing before I got to know. I think it's the unexplained parts that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want a definitive on that.
Yeah.
I
Some things.
did hats off to that one guy that came forwards and said 20 years later,
Yeah.
yes, I did walk around in a spacesuit
Yeah.
as part of all this. Because I genuinely think that holding on to that for 22 years is really cool.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Yeah.
But if it all came out, if there was one answer, if you could Google straight away and get an answer and said, well, what they saw was this, an oil tanker or something like that, I'd hate that.
Yeah.
I like the fact that I don't know it all.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, it's produced an hour of podcast content. So if we knew definitely, what else would we be talking about?
I love it.
Your weird Welsh leprechaun friends.
Yes.
What's the name of the leprechauns? The Welsh leprechauns?
Tylwyth Teg.
Yeah.
Tylwyth Teg.
They're brilliant. The stories are so funny as
I will
well.
look that up.
They're so good.
Oh, look, I love that. Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
I want to know what our podcast is called in Welsh.
Believe.
Yeah, a bit like say it in Welsh. Believe the Conspiracy Theory podcast, but in Welsh.
Credu, a podcast amdan theoriau. Oh, I don't know what conspiracy is. Conspiracy, but with an I at the end. I think so. Yeah. Oh, credu though is believe.
Yeah.
Believe credu.
Yeah, so that's for you and for Shay listening.
Yeah.
So she can do a version of that banger. Yeah, credu, a podcast.
That's beautiful.
There you
say
go.
it so well. Carwyn, would you like to look at this camera and tell people where they can find you, where they can follow you, all that kind of stuff?
Please follow me on Instagram. It's useful. Very useful. You can catch me on RSVP on BBC iPlayer at the moment, and let's hope that a series comes out of that.
Absolutely.
Really worth a watch, that one.
Would you like an alien joke to end the podcast?
Definitely.
Okay. How do you put a baby alien to sleep?
I genuinely want to answer this. I really want to answer
Go
this.
for
How
it.
do you put a baby alien to sleep? Is it going to be
we're both comedians. We're both going.
How would you put Nailin to sleep?
Put a pillow over its face? No, that's where my brain
Put a
went.
silver pillow over its face.
Yes, silver pillow over the baby's face.
You rock it.
Oh, that's good.
It was right there.
That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Please like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. The more lovely subscribers we get, the more episodes we'll make. And follow us on Instagram and TikTok for regular updates and exclusive videos at Believe Conspiracy Pod. We love you. Bye.